Hello there. In the second part of Lecture Series 10, I will look at the underlying principles set out in IAS 41, Agriculture, on measurement, agricultural produce, and government grants related to biological assets. IAS 41 requires biological assets to be measured at fair value less cost to sell on both initial and subsequent measurement. IAS 41 presumes that the fair value of biological assets should be capable of being measured reliably. However, if on initial recognition the quoted market prices are not available and alternative fair value measurements are unreliable, the biological asset is exempt from fair value measurement and will be carried at cost less accumulated depreciation and impairment losses. The related biological asset should be remeasured to fair value less cost to sell once the fair value can be measured reliably. In measuring biological assets at fair value less cost to sell, it's important to note the following. 1. A loss can arise on initial measurement at fair value less cost to sell as a result of deducting estimated selling costs from the fair value. 2. A gain can arise on initial measurement when a new biological asset is born. 3. The gain or loss arising from the remeasurement should be recognized in the profit or loss. 4. Changes in fair value may result from physical biological transformation. Thus, IAS 41 recommends separate disclosure of physical and price changes as the information is likely to be of interest to users. Question: how should agricultural produce be measured? At the point of harvest, agricultural produce falls within the scope of IAS 41 and shall be measured at fair value less cost to sell. Gain or losses at the point of harvest are included in the profit or loss. Upon harvest, the agricultural produce becomes an item of inventory and thus falls within the scope of IAS 2 inventories. The initial measurement value at the point of harvest is the deemed cost on initial recognition of the inventories. Subsequently, inventories are measured at the lower of cost and NRV. Finally, let's look at government grants relating to biological assets. If a government grant relates to biological assets measured at fair value less cost to sell, the government grant is accounted under IAS 41 Agriculture as follows. An unconditional government grant shall be measured in the profit or loss when it becomes receivable. A conditional government grant shall be recognized when the conditions attached to the grant are met. On the other hand, a government grant related to biological assets measured at cost, less accumulated depreciation and impairment losses, is accounted under IAS 20, Accounting for Government Grants and Disclosure of Government Assistance. This concludes the lecture series on IAS 41 Agriculture. Lecture series 10 looked at the following: when assets fall within the scope and outside the scope of IAS 41, recognition and measurement principles of IAS 41, agricultural produce, and finally how to account for government grants related to biological assets. In the next bite-sized corporate reporting lecture series, I will look at IAS 10, events after the reporting period. Thank you and see you in my next lecture series.